Welcome back to our Chess YouTube channel. Today's class we'll learn how to make this beautiful drape design on a blouse. Okay, you place this on an off-shoulder blouse and it's really beautiful and simple to make. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to drape on this, I have my off-shoulder bustier underneath like this, as you have seen. So you can drape on whatever it is that you want to drape on, and then I'm going to be using this satin fabric. It's still the same fabric that I used for the bodies. So to drape this now, remember the fabric is supposed to be like this is the yardage and this is the length of the fabric. So you're not going to be holding your fabric like this because you need drapes, you want it to fall. So to do that, you're going to be holding it on this angle like you're doing a bias form. So once you hold this like this, you fold the first fold. So it depends on how wide you want it to be here. So for me, I just want it to be around 4 inches by the time I finish folding it. So I'm just going to fold it in between like this. And if you don't want to fold it, you can just pin it and then cut it off later because you are still going to join it. But because I don't want too much fabric, so I'm just going to fold it in and then pin. So this is the center line. I hope you can see it. I can see my center line here, so I'll make sure that it's centralized. I divide the 4 inches into 2, so I'll have 2 inches on each side. So now I'm placing it on the edge and I'll pin it down. So after pinning it down, you can just check that you have the 4 inches that you need. Okay, so this is around 3.5, which is fine because I want to have enough space to drape the others. So after pinning the first one down, the next thing is for you to start draping. So to drape it now, you can see how I'm holding it on both sides. I'm just going to fold it in now and create like a plait. So whatever it is that you're draping has to be on this same line. So everything that you're doing, once you make your drape, you make sure that you take it to this upper part so that they're going to fall on this same straight line. Okay, so just watch I'm doing carefully. I'm going to take it like this, fold it in, and then I'm going to bring it on this upper part. So that's going to be my first place, and then I'll pin it down. So that's for the first side. You do the same thing for the second side now, and then you also pin it down. So now I formed my first drape. So now the same thing for the second one. I'm going to take it like this, and then I'm going to pleat it, and then I'm going to bring it up the same space. You bring it up and you pin it down. Okay, so now I'm going to so it depends on how you want your drapes to form. It can go down like this, or you can just make it flat. So I'm going to do the two. We're going to work on the flat one first before we do the straight, the one that is going to drop a bit. So I'm going to pin it here now, and then I'm going to take it to the other side again, and then I'm going to pin. Third one, the same way. You're going to take it together now and then form your drape. So everything has to come to this upper part. So you can get someone that do the pinning for you if you feel you cannot take it yourself all at once. So you're going to pin it down here, and then the same thing you're going to do to this other side also. Okay, so you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 now. So now I'm going for the 5th one. So you can make it as close together. So you can make it as close together as possible to form the amount of drapes that you need. So I'm just going to take this also again now, flatten it out because we don't want the drape to be to drop too much. Remember I said you're going to be doing the 2 types. So for this, it's just going to be a bit flat. You're going to pin it down here, and then you take it to this upper part again. You can see that the pin has to be on the same line, and you also pin this down. So you can see what I've formed so far. So this is what it looks like. You can see that the spaces between them is just like 1/4 of an inch. It's not so wide. So that's how you're going to form all of the drapes. Okay, so I'm stopping the drapes here. So I'm going to drape the last one. You can see how close together they are. You take it and then you pin it on that same side here, and then I'm going to take the other one also and then form my drapes, and then I'll also pin it down. Okay, so you can see what we have formed so far, and you can see that they all end up with this upper part. Okay, so when you are draping, make sure you work with a very good pin so that your work is going to be easier for you. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now the next thing is for us to trim off the excess, but like I said, I prefer my drapes to come down more, but I just want to show us if you don't want the drapes to come down. So now you can actually leave your drape bouncy like this. You can see that it's bouncy, or you just iron it flat so that all these edges can become really flat and come out like this. So it's totally up to you and what you want to achieve. So now I'm just going to remove the pins now and then work on the other one that I prefer, okay, which is what I'll be going for. So for this, I'm not going to flatten out the drapes as I'm pleating them. I'll give it enough room to bounce a bit. So I'm starting from this first one again, the same 3.5 inches. So when forming my drape, when I was doing the first one, once I peel it, I'll flatten it out before pinning. But in this case, I'm just going to allow it to fall a bit before pinning it down. So you can see the space that I have here. So once it falls like that, I'm going to pin the first one, and then so you can see like a cowl. So I'll just make it fall a bit and then pin the next one. So same thing now, I'll go over for the second one. You can see how these drapes are forming now. It's coming out more as against the flattened one that we had earlier. So once it's out like that, I'm going to pin it down. So it's totally up to you, and draping is very fun, so you can play around it anyhow you want. So once you're okay with whatever it is that you have, you just go with it. So now I'm going for the third drape, and then I'm going to make it fall. So you can see that it's coming out more than the one we had earlier. So I'm going to make it fall like this, and then I'll pin it on both sides on the same line, just like we did for the first one. I'm going in for the fourth drape now, and then I'll do the same thing. So you can see what I have. So I'll drape everything now up to the last one. So when I want to drape the last one, I'll show us how we're going to cut this out. Okay, so now I've formed 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 drapes. So I'm forming the last one just like I did. You can see that the drapes are coming forward just like you have the cowl. It's not flattened out like the one we had earlier. So now I'm forming the last one by just folding it inwards like this and following what I already have there. Then I'm going to take it to the side so that they can be on the same line like this. So when you're forming your drapes, you check that you have the same thing on both sides, because you don't want one side becoming longer than the other. So I'm pinning it like this, and then I'll come here now and pin the other one. So this is what I have so far. If you are not okay with it at any point, you can still check to modify it. So now I'm going to cut off the excess that I have around it. Now the next thing is for me to cut off the excess. So I'm going to cut around it and then leave enough space, because for the last one here, I'm going to hem it. You can either hem it inwards or you weave it. So now I'm starting from this upper part now. Then I'm going to cut it. So it's a pack of fabric, so you need a scissors that is very sharp. So I'm just going to cut around it. Like I said, you can cut it in excess and then later you reduce it, because it's better for it to be in excess than for it not to be enough. So I'm just cutting it all the way to the other side. Okay, so you can see that I've cut around it, and then I'm repinning my pin so that I don't lose them. So the next thing now is to also cut it. Remember, it's all taking a straight form. So I'm cutting this also to form this straight form, and then I'm going to pin it too. So just see what I have underneath it. So I'll repin it to go along with what this straight line that I have on my bust here. So I'll just hold this down now, and then I'm going to pin it, because very soon you're going to sew. So to sew it now, you can just use a needle and thread to tack it here and there before you take it to your sewing machine, or you can just pin it straight like that. So for me, I think I'm just going to be lifting it up, and then I'm going to pin it to my bodice that I have underneath that. So you have to be careful not to harm yourself. So I'm removing it now, and then I'm repinning it to the bodice. Okay, so remove this. You may not need so much pins for this, so I'll lift it and then pin to my bodice carefully, and then I'm going to remove it. So now this is me just removing it and then pinning to my bodice for me to be able to sew it down. Okay, so I'm on the first one, and I'm taking that also with the bustier that I have underneath it, and then I'm pinning it. Okay, so I've pinned this. Now you can see that I can remove this completely and my drapes are still there. Okay, so let me just show us now. So removing it, you can see it's no longer attached to the dress form, and now I still have my drapes. So now I'll just take it to the sewing machine and sew it on that part. So the same way I remove this is what I'm going to do on this side, and then on this lower part I'm just going to fold it inwards like this, and then I'll hem it round so that I will have something in it. So like I said, you can either hem it or weave it. So I'm going to remove for this other side also, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine to sew. Okay, so the video will not be too long. I've gone ahead to repin this also. Now I can take it off my dress form, but just see the drapes. You can see that the drapes is still the same. We still maintain exactly what we formed on our drapes, independent of the mannequin. So now what I'm going to do now is to take it to the sewing machine now, and then I'm going to sew it straight down like this, and then I'll trim off the excess. So now after sewing it straight down, you should have your lining exactly the same way you cut out your main bodice. So you're just going to place your lining on this now, and then sew it so that I can use it to turn the rough edges inwards. So I've gone ahead to hem it. You can see that it is neatly hemmed on the lower part. So all this excess that I have here, what you just need to do is to take your scissors and then trim it using this bustier that you have underneath as your guideline. And as you can so you can see that I've trimmed it now. So like I said, you just need to cut your lining and then place it outwards. You sew it and then use it to cover up all these rough edges. So now I'm going to place this on the mannequin. So after putting the drapes, all you just need to do is arrange it well. So you can also tack it at intervals where it's not going to show. Just raise the next one, tack it here, then tack it so you can see where the pleats are. You just tack it underneath like that so that you don't lose your drapes. So this is what we have so far. So the last thing I'm going to do now is to place my trimming on it. So that's going to serve as my strap. So now I'm going to place it. You can see you just need to measure from here all the way to your neckline and back, and if you want it to be like a strap, you place it from here, it goes to the back, and then you do the same thing for the back. So I just want to place it around the neckline and then bring it forward. So this is what I have now. I'm just going to place this like this and then sew it down to my drape. So I'll go ahead now and sew this and then bring it back to show us what you have. So it doesn't have to be. Okay, so I'm going to have to attach my trimming to it, and this is what the drapes that we formed look like. It's very beautiful as we have seen. So you can just iron this down if you want it flat, but I just like how mine came out bouncing like this. So it depends on what you want to achieve by the time you're done. Just make sure that your drapes meet at this upper part so that you can have something uniform and beautiful like this. So I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.